First at 4, the Oregon Health Authority has released a scathing new report about the death of a Providence Milwaukie patient who later died in police custody. This comes months after the Fox 12 Investigates team obtained video of last year's incident, revealing the reluctancy of officers to take custody of Jean DeCamps, who appeared to be very ill. The report found that the hospital failed to make promised changes to prevent a similar tragedy. Staff members were supposed to implement a vulnerable patient discharge plan for anyone that's homeless or otherwise vulnerable. But inspections by the Oregon Health Authority in December, January, and February found that staff did not consistently follow the plan in 7 of 15 records inspected. A spokesperson for the hospital system tells Fox 12 that they take the findings of the OHA report seriously. Providence issued a statement saying, quote, Providence Milwaukee's internal review began immediately following the event on December 12th. As part of that review, we proactively notified the state. In the months since, we have been responding to all requests from OHA. As a result of that internal review, Providence Milwaukie has taken steps to address issues in the emergency department. Providence Milwaukie has until July 21st to have a new plan approved and implemented. If it fails to meet the deadline, the hospital would no longer be able to receive Medicare or Medicaid funding.